The purpose of this video is to cover all the key points of computer technology as it is today for sort of beginners and adults, and in as little time and with as little trouble to myself as possible. So the first step I want to show is the password book. This is almost a necessity today. You need a physical, actual book that you can write in passwords with username, with the website, your username, and your password, because the passwords that you use should not be easy to remember. The second fundamental thing to learn about these computers is the command prompt in Windows or the terminal in Mac. It's where you can use text to type in a lot of commands that come with the system. It lets you traverse the file system. There's a lot that you can do with it easily and quickly, more or less directly interacting with the computer. For example, simple example, I can type ls here and get a list of directories. But there's a ton of stuff you can do with this that gives you control over your computer, and it's important to learn that. Okay, the third thing to learn is a language or languages. And this is an example of not any particular language, but it's kind of an abstraction of what almost belongs to almost all languages. First thing is, when you use a variable and give it a name, you have to tell the computer what the name is and what type of data it's going to hold. In this case, there's several types. This one's called an integer, int. Almost every instruction in almost every language ends with a semicolon. So INTA tells the computer to set aside memory for an integer, and I'm going to refer to it as A. So I can now refer to it as A and set it equal to something. So I set it equal to 5, and that's the end of that instruction. Next, I'm going to tell the computer to create, I'm going to create a function. So this one I'm going to call it my function, and these parentheses with the brackets tells the computer that it's going to be a function, that it can be executed. This one has an argument here that is going to be, when the function is used, it means that it's going to take an argument while it's being used. In this case, the type of the argument has to be told to the computer as well, because the computer has to set aside memory for that argument. So this is an integer type, and we're going to call it within the function. We're going to refer to that passed-in argument as z. That passed-in integer is going to be called z. So now in the brackets here we have our actual function, which is actually just a set of instructions, another set of instructions. So here, the first instruction tells the computer to set aside memory for an integer called y, that we're going to use only within this program, or within this function. The next instruction tells the computer that we're going to use y and set it equal to something plus 10, and that something is the z that the computer was told will be the passed-in function, where it was declared when the function was declared. So the computer will know to pass in the argument that's passed to the function and put it in there for z. And then there's the semicolon for the end of the instruction. And the third instruction will tell the computer something to print, and in this case, this is kind of, there's really no command for print, but there are different ones. But this one is to show you how this works. You kind of put an argument in here for the print, which is actually a function. Another function that is in the language that you're using is what you'll be calling here, and you pass in the value. And in this case, most of the print commands work this way. They put quotes in there, and then they put a percent sign and a symbol that tells what type of data is going to go there. In this case, it's an integer for the I, percent I. The computer is not going to print that part. It's going to recognize that as needing to put an integer in that spot, and it's going to look after that, the quoted part is going to look for the value to put in there, and in this case it's y, which the computer will have stored already as being z plus 10, and the z it will have gotten from the original argument that went into the function. So even though that seems confusing, that's almost like how all languages work now. And so then what happens is when you go now here in this instruction line, we're going to actually use that function. So when you type, we have given the instruction my function A. Now that the computer knows what that function, what my function is, it's going to go in and take A, which it also now knows what A is, 5, and it's going to run this function with 5 in the argument, where A for A. So it's going to run this function, but where integer z is now going to be called 5. So when it runs this function, it's going to put 5 in there for z. It's going to be y equals 5 plus 10, which is, you know, say 15 or whatever. So then it's going to print new value equals, and it's going to put that 15 in there for the y. It's going to replace that %i with the y, and it's going to say new value equals 15. More or less. This is not an actual language. They're all a little bit different. So, but that's sort of the fundamental parts of just about all languages. The next thing you should be common knowledge is that when you attach a router for an ISP, you can access that router through your web browser by typing in an address. And AT&T, Motorola's, or the NVG 510 is 192.168.1.254. And when you type that address into your web browser, you will get the configuration pages for your router. And that's important if you want to try to make a web server. Okay, so when it comes to actual networking, it's actually networking itself is a fundamental process and relatively simple for users. Here in the terminal, this one command curl, C-U-R-L, followed by a website, will go to that website and retrieve the data right there. That's just brought that data in from across the country and and put all that data there. The question about networking is processing the data. So you have to either write programs to process this data, or you have to find programs that will process data. And with websites, the standards for processing different kinds of data and for sending different kinds of data have mostly focused on HTML. And now they have HTML5, which is a set of standards that is becoming more and more universal for a lot of forms of data. So you can install those tools either on this command line, or you can buy some software that makes it really convenient to put that on your computer to make a web server. Or you can take your HTML code and put it on a different server, which is a good way to do it too. But if you want total control and security, maximum security for your own system, you can install like Apache or something, or purchase some software, or make your own software for processing the data that you can easily retrieve from other computers that have data out there. And you can put your own data onto the internet using HTML, which is a convenient way to share media, share data of different forms. This is W3 Schools. It's worldwideweb.w3schools.com, and this gives tutorials in a number of languages that will get you up and running very quickly with high quality tutorials to use to learn your HTML code and JavaScript and things. Okay, this is a new Samsung, which costs as much as an iPad mini, but it's on my wall here, and it is a fully functioning web browser. So I can go on here and use this JavaScript HTML program from my own computer, and it's projected up here onto the screen. This one's an addition program for kids that play with and stuff. Push the buttons and it puts the answer, and then you check the answer, etc. Now, I haven't done anything really with this technology yet except test it, but I want to show some more examples here. This is just a JPEG on my own website on the Samsung in the living room, Samsung TV. And so I click on this file here, and it prints up a photo from our own home website. We can sit there and look at pictures just by setting up our own applications on our own computer on our own website. Another application of this technology is for homeschool. Click on Study Outlines. You have these outlines. click on one of these, say under physical sciences, and we clicked on chemical elements. And these, and then this goes, we have some thing about alchemy and the history of chemistry. We have a periodic table here. And this goes on to a different website. Like I said, the Samsung is still a little bit slow on the web browser, but it's getting there. And here's a video.
In the year of 1869, a Russian chemist by the name of Dmitry Mendeleev, he introduced a table which was known as the
that's a
periodic
video
table.
that goes with
it contained all the 63 elements known at that time, and the elements
with that topic. And then here's, anyway, these are linked. Here's a chart of metals versus non-metals. Anyway, so it's a topic-based. Links have been, set up and organized for different topics. And this was HTML code used to arrange those links and to publish them to the living room TV. And that code is very simple. It's extremely simple. This is like really just HTML, first graders HTML to do this. Here's another application of technology. This one is a data test. This is off of my home website on the Samsung web browser capable TV. So I click on this, and this actually, there's a 2 + 2 = 4 in the corner. Like I said, these are just tests, testing the technology. I'm not actually using it at this point. But the 2 + 2 is coming from a database, from a data table, a Postgre data table on my home computer. So you can imagine how much you can do with this for home business or just any business, actually, to set this up using databases and using these kind of outputs. This comes out on the living room television, just to kind of get some idea there. Now there's more than one way to do this, obviously. This is another Samsung TV that's not a smart TV, but this is using an iPad on AirPlay with Apple TV. And so this is the same website here. When we do the data test, obviously it works. It connects to a Postgre database and gets the data. And also, this is another way to do data. This one here is this is an app that I made with HTML and JavaScript. You can set the background color, say, yellow. And this did not take that long to make this. And of course, it's not that useful, but select the color for your text. We'll say blue. And we'll type in the text, hello. And we'll change the TV. We'll go here. And there it is. It goes to another page that's been generated by the HTML or by the CGI scripts themselves. I'm sorry, it wasn't just HTML here. It's also a CGI script, which is just a program that the HTML can run or the JavaScript can call from your home web browser. So it took that data and it's given an output based on that data, and that data is also stored in a custom database. It's just some data storage that I made on the program pretty easily. So it's actually like my own database. So that is possible for people to do today. You can use it for your business or your home, and it's developing.